In the early 1930s, daring stunt drivers became the stars of thrilling live performances, showcasing death-defying acts that left audiences on the edge of their seats. These fearless performers took on incredible feats, such as crashing cars, driving through firewalls, and executing ramp-to-ramp jumps that saw them soaring over multiple cars or even buses. One of the most notable figures in this era was Jimmy Lynch, who traveled across the United States with his stunt troupe, performing jaw-dropping stunts in fragile cars. Lynch's acts included jumping over vehicles, smashing through blazing walls, and even performing daring two-wheel stunts. Lynch himself became famous for his stunt of riding on the hood of a horse car, which he steered with hydraulic cables. While crashes, rollovers, and other high-risk stunts were the hallmark of these thrill shows, Lynch was also a champion of automobile safety. He conducted tests for the National Safety Council and worked to educate the public on safe driving practices. A fascinating glimpse into the perilous world of stunt driving is provided by an advertisement posted in the Amherst Bee, a New York-based newspaper, on August 6, 1931. The ad gives insight into what it took to join these fearless daredevil crews. Wanted, single man, not over 25 years, to drive an automobile in a head-on collision with another car at the Albion Fairgrounds in connection with the Congress of Daredevils on August 19th. Must crash with another car at 40 mmfthimo and give unconditional release in case of injury or death. Name your lowest price, write B. Ward Beam, Albion, NY. Another renowned stuntman from this era was Earl Lucky Teeter, who founded the Hell Drivers troupe. He and his team traveled the country, performing their dangerous stunts to captivated crowds. Unfortunately, Teeter's career was tragically cut short when his car failed to jump over two Greyhound buses. But he remains famous for coining the term Hell Drivers, which would go on to be used by many other groups of stunt drivers. In this article, we've gathered a selection of vintage photos from the golden age of daredevil stunt driving, capturing the incredible moments when these fearless performers would crash cars and leap through firewalls, entertaining audiences with their death-defying feats. These captivating photographs of car wrecks from the 1930s were taken by Leslie Jones, a renowned photographer who worked for the Boston Herald Traveler from 1917 to 1956. Jones captured daily life in Boston and its surrounding areas, and around 40,000 of his negatives have been preserved. One of his passions was documenting car accidents. In the 1930s, he rushed to the scenes of countless crashes, from minor fender benders to major pile-ups, capturing the aftermath in images that ranged from tragic and morbid to bizarre and even comical. What distinguishes Jones from his peers, and what makes his collection of photographs stand out, is his sharp eye for composition and his focus on human interest. As a press photographer, he worked under the constant pressure of tight deadlines. Moreover, newspaper editors were known for prioritizing deadlines over respecting the photographer's artistic choices, meaning many of Jones's published photos may have been cropped or altered to fit the story or available space. Despite these constraints, the uncropped images in this collection are carefully composed, showing a genuine interest in the human drama unfolding. While he took hundreds of photos of car accidents, Jones's focus on the crowds of onlookers and bystanders gives these otherwise grim scenes a light-hearted, sometimes humorous quality. In the 1930s, the US was grappling not only with the Great Depression, but also with a national crisis over traffic safety. In 1935, President Franklin D. Roosevelt wrote to state governors, urging them to address the increasing number of deaths and injuries from car accidents. In the 1910s, speeding, reckless driving, collisions, and pedestrian fatalities were emerging issues that required new solutions. Early efforts to curb these problems focused on changing driver behavior through public education and law enforcement. By the early 1920s, the National Safety Council was collecting accident data, hosting conferences, and promoting Safety Week campaigns in cities to raise public awareness and encourage careful driving. Measures like traffic laws, fines, and drunk driving arrests were introduced to help reduce fatalities. However, Americans were initially slow to realize the importance of redesigning cars for safety. Early on, the automobile was seen as a neutral device responding to the driver's actions, with little acknowledgement of the vehicle's role in accidents. By the late 1920s, manufacturers began to recognize the safety flaws in their designs. In response, they introduced safety features like shatter-resistant windshields and four-wheel brakes instead of the earlier two-wheel brakes. In the 1930s, safety improvements became a selling point for automakers, who marketed new features like all-steel bodies and hydraulic brakes. They assured consumers that modern cars were completely safe, with industry representatives emphasizing that improving road infrastructure, licensing drivers, and regulating traffic were the key to reducing accidents. The world of marketing and advertising has seen its share of unforgettable brand icons, each leaving a lasting impact on popular culture. Among these legendary figures, one stands out for its unique blend of charm and eeriness: the Michelin Man. The story of the Michelin Man began in 1894 when André and Edouard Michelin founded the Michelin tire company in France. In search of a memorable brand identity, they turned to the world of advertising. While attending the Universal and Colonial Exposition in Lyon, the brothers noticed a stack of tires that Edouard thought resembled the figure of a man without arms. In 1898, André met French cartoonist Marius Rossillon, better known as Au Galop, who showed him a rejected design for a Munich brewery: a large, stately figure holding a giant glass of beer and quoting Horace's famous phrase, "Nunc est bibendum," now is the time to drink. André suggested replacing the man with a figure made entirely of tires, and Au Galop transformed the earlier image into the Michelin Man. This quirky, striking character would quickly become an iconic symbol. In an early 1898 poster, Bibendum, the Michelin Man, was depicted offering a toast with a glass filled with road hazards, nails, broken glass, and other debris, symbolizing Michelin tires' ability to conquer obstacles. As time passed, the Michelin Man underwent a transformation, evolving from a simple graphic into a full-fledged, three-dimensional character with personality. However, it was his early years that truly captured the public's imagination, cementing his place in the cultural landscape. Vintage photographs offer a fascinating look at the Michelin Man's origins and development. One striking 1911 photograph shows a horse-drawn advertising carriage featuring two Michelin men made from tires, appearing almost nightmarish in their surreal form. At the time, tires were still grey-white or translucent beige, but in 1912 they became black after the addition of carbon, which improved their strength and durability. Michelin followed suit by changing Bibendum's colour to black in several ads, though they later reverted to his original white colour due to printing and aesthetic concerns, not racial issues, as often misinterpreted. Bibendum's design continued to evolve over the years. The original logo, based on bicycle tires, depicted him wearing pince-nez glasses and smoking a cigar. By the 1960s, the Michelin Man was shown in more active poses, often running or rolling a tire, and he no longer smoked. In 1998, for his 100th anniversary, a slimmer version of Bibendum was introduced, reflecting the smaller tires of modern cars. A computer-animated version of the Michelin Man also appeared in American TV ads alongside a puppy that resembled him. In a 1926 photograph, Bibendum stands beside an advertising vehicle in Santa Clara. With tires still mostly whitish-grey at the time, the Michelin Man is depicted in his classic white form. Looking ahead, the Michelin Man remains a powerful brand icon. As technology advances and new storytelling platforms emerge, we can expect Bibendum to adapt and evolve while maintaining his distinctive essence. Whether through traditional media or digital platforms, this timeless character will continue to captivate and inspire audiences, leaving a lasting impact on the cultural landscape for years to come. The Nissan 300ZX, an iconic sports car of the 1980s, captured the imagination of automotive enthusiasts with its innovative interior design and distinct cyberpunk influences. With its sleek lines, cutting-edge features, and unmistakable rebellious aesthetic, the 300ZX redefined automotive innovation in its era. Entering the Nissan 300ZX, it felt like stepping into a futuristic world where advanced technology seamlessly blended with driver-focused ergonomics. The interior design was a true testament to the car's visionary spirit, with every detail thoughtfully crafted to enhance the driving experience. From the meticulously positioned controls to the supportive sport seats, the cabin exuded purpose and a sense of connection between the driver and the machine. One of the most striking features of the 300ZX was its cyberpunk-inspired dashboard. The car featured a digital instrument cluster that replaced traditional analog gauges, offering a high-resolution display of crucial information. The futuristic design of the digital cluster, with its sharp angles and glowing digits, perfectly complemented the car's overall cyberpunk aesthetic. Beyond its visual appeal, the digital dashboard marked a technological leap forward, providing real-time updates on speed, fuel levels, and engine diagnostics, delivering vital information with ease and precision. The interior's high-tech ambience was further enhanced by sleek metallic accents and a dark color palette, creating an atmosphere of luxury and technological sophistication. While futuristic aesthetics took center stage, the 300ZX's interior design never compromised on comfort. Controls were ergonomically placed for intuitive operation, ensuring that the driver could stay focused on the road. The seats provided exceptional support, making long journeys comfortable and enjoyable. The Nissan 300ZX was not just about striking looks, it also delivered exceptional performance. Engine options, including the turbocharged 2.0-litre inline-six and the later 3.0-litre V6, offered the power and thrill expected from a high-performance sports car. Its advanced suspension system and precise handling contributed to the car's nimble, responsive driving experience, taking performance to new heights. The 300ZX's enduring legacy lies in its ability to capture the spirit of the 1980s. The blend of futuristic interior design, cyberpunk influences, and cutting-edge technologies made it an icon that continues to captivate car enthusiasts today. The first-generation 300ZX, known as the Z31 model, was produced from 1983 to 1989 and became the highest-volume Z car in Nissan's history. In 1986, the Z31 received a restyling with side skirts, flared fenders, and 16-inch wheels on turbo models. Many black plastic trim pieces were painted to match the body color, and the hood scoop was removed. A final makeover in 1987 introduced more aerodynamic bumpers, fog lamps integrated into the front air dam, and 9004 bulb-based headlamps replacing the older sealed beam lights. The rear reflector of the 300ZX was updated to a narrow set of tail lights stretching the entire width of the car, along with an LED third brake light on the rear hatch. The 1987 model year marked the first time a car featured a central LED brake light developed by Stanley Electric. The Z31 continued production until 1989, becoming the best-selling Z car at the time. The 300ZX models produced between 1984 and 1985 are referred to as Zenki models, while those made from 1987 to 1989 are known as Kuki models. North America was the primary market for the 300ZX, just as it had been for previous Z car generations. It debuted in the United States in October 1983, along with the rest of Nissan's 1984 lineup. In 1985 alone, over 70,000 units were sold in North America. To remain competitive in the sports car market, the second-generation 300ZX was redesigned to be faster and incorporate more advanced technologies, though it came with a higher price tag, resulting in a gradual decline in sales each year. This trend was consistent with the overall higher-end sports car market during that period, leading Nissan to pause the sale of new Z cars in the US after the 1996 model year. However, the Z32 continued to be sold in Japan until 2001, albeit in limited quantities. The Z32 generation earned widespread acclaim, with Car and Driver naming it to their 10 best list for 7 consecutive years, and Motor Trend awarding it Import Car of the Year in 1990. The Nissan 350Z Z33 succeeded the 3ZX in 2003, continuing the Z car legacy. The Firebird the3 is regarded as the most captivating and influential model among the Motorama Firebirds. Built in 1958, it is the only one of the Firebird trio to have had a direct influence on the design of General Motors' production vehicles. This impact is particularly noticeable in the 1959 Cadillac, which adopted the Firebird 3's sculpted surfaces and dramatic rocker panel tuck-under. The 1961 Cadillac also paid homage to the Firebird with its distinctive rear skegs, a subtle yet significant design feature inspired by the concept car. With minimal chrome and a break from parallel lines, the Firebird the3 represented a bold departure from traditional automotive design. Its tail fins were also reimagined, giving them a futuristic twist that set it apart from earlier designs. Although GM initially planned a Firebird 4, which was prototyped as a full-sized wooden frame, the Firebird the3's most enduring legacy was its influence on the Pontiac pony cars, which adopted its name starting in 1967. The Firebird series was inspired by innovations in fighter aircraft design, with GM's head designer Harley Earl leading the charge. The company never intended for the concept cars to go into production. Rather, they were meant to demonstrate GM's ability to push the boundaries of technology and design. The Firebird the3 made its debut at the 1959 Motorama, showcasing a fiberglass body, 7 short wings, and tail fins for a distinctly futuristic appearance. This 2-seater concept car was powered by a 225-horsepower Wellfire GT3075 gas turbine engine, complemented by a smaller 10-horsepower 2-cylinder gasoline engine to power accessories. In addition to its striking design, the Firebird 3 featured advanced technologies like cruise control, anti-lock brakes, and air conditioning. The car also boasted air drag brakes, which extended from flat panels in the bodywork to slow it down at high speeds, much like those used in aircraft. Other futuristic features included an ultrasonic key for door entry, an automated guidance system to avoid accidents, and a no-hold steering system. Instead of a traditional steering wheel, the vehicle was controlled by a joystick positioned between the seats. GM has preserved the Firebird the3 prototype at the GM Heritage Center in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Model versions of the car are part of the permanent collection at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, and the Firebird 3 continues to make appearances at car shows. The tradition of showcasing innovative prototypes continued with the Pontiac Banshee series. From 1967 to 2002, Pontiac marketed the Firebird line of pony cars, which, while sharing the name, had no direct connection to the earlier Firebird concept vehicles. Since the invention of the automobile, humanity has dreamed of taking it to the skies. The vision of a vehicle that could both drive on roads and fly in the air dates back to the 19th century, with the first patent for such a concept filed in 1910. Engineers and inventors returned time and again to the idea throughout the 20th century, as seen in the images in this article. The legendary writer Jules Verne envisioned vehicles that could serve as cars, boats, and aircraft all in one. While this was purely science fiction at the time, it captured the imagination of engineers, designers, and manufacturers. At the Pan American Aeronautic Exposition in 1917, inventors showcased the Model 11 autoplane, an early example of an automobile with wings. Although it never took flight, it was a glimpse into the possibilities of the future. Just a few years later, the Tampere roadable biplane managed a 2-hour drive from the Paris Air Salon at a speed of 15 miles per hour. In 1926, Henry Ford unveiled his experimental Sky Flivver, a single-seat airplane. But the project was abandoned 2 years later after a distance record attempt flight ended in a crash, killing the pilot. Though the Sky Flivver was not a true flying car, it garnered significant attention, sparking public excitement at the prospect of a mass-produced, affordable airplane that could be made, marketed, sold, and maintained just like an automobile. It was envisioned to be as commonplace in the future as the Model T was at the time. In 1940, Henry Ford famously predicted, "Mark my word, a combination airplane and motorcar is coming. You may smile, but it will come." In 1942, the Soviet Union experimented with a gliding tank, the Antonov A-40, but it couldn't fly on its own. In December 1949, Malt Taylor's Aerocar successfully took flight, and subsequent versions underwent a series of tests on both roads and in the air. The concept captured public imagination once again, with Chuck Berry even referencing it in his 1956 song, "You Can't Catch Me." By December 1956, the Civil Aviation Authority approved the design for mass production. However, despite widespread publicity and an improved version produced in 1989, Taylor never succeeded in bringing the flying car to market. Henry Ford was not the first to create the assembly line, but his innovative approach to mass production revolutionized the automotive industry, making it the most successful and memorable. Ford's journey began in 1896 with the creation of his version of the automobile. Initially, he worked in small workshops on Mack Avenue and later Piquette Avenue in Detroit. These early factories were limited in size and production, but it wasn't until 1913, at his third factory in Highland Park, that mass production took off on a large scale. As seen in rare photographs from the time, Ford applied assembly line methods across every aspect of car manufacturing, boosting productivity and cutting costs. This innovation led manufacturers from various industries to adopt similar production techniques. In 1907, Ford outlined his vision for the Ford Motor Company to create a motor car for the great multitude. At the time, automobiles were custom-made and expensive. Ford's engineers took the first step toward this goal with the Model T, a simple, durable car with no factory options and just one color choice. Designed for rough American roads, the Model T was economical to operate and easy to maintain. Released in 1908, over 15 million units were produced before it was discontinued in 1927. Though initially more affordable than most cars, the Model T still wasn't within reach for the multitude. To make it truly accessible, Ford realized he needed to increase efficiency. He studied other industries and found 4 key principles: interchangeable parts, continuous flow, division of labor, and minimizing wasted effort. By using interchangeable parts, Ford ensured that every piece of the car was uniform, so any valve could fit any engine and any steering wheel could fit any chassis. This required advanced machinery, but allowed low-skilled workers to replace skilled craftsmen in the production process. To improve the flow of work, Ford arranged the factory so that tasks moved seamlessly from one stage to the next. Inspired by meat packing houses and grain mill conveyor belts, he created a system where workers spent less time moving around. The labor was divided into 84 distinct steps, with each worker trained to perform just one task. Ford also enlisted Frederick Taylor, the creator of scientific management, to optimize the speed and movements of workers. Ford's assembly technique relied on two key elements: a conveyor system and assigning workers to repetitive tasks. While simple in concept, it required meticulous planning and coordination. As a result, Ford reduced production time from 12 hours to just 93 minutes per car by 1914. The cars began rolling off the assembly line every 3 minutes. In 1914, Ford produced more cars than all other manufacturers combined. The Model T became a commercial success, and by the time the company produced its 10 millionth car, half of all cars in the world were Ford's. Ford's success was so profound that he stopped purchasing advertising between 1917 and 1923, relying instead on the Model T's growing fame. With over 15 million Model Ts produced and a peak output of 9,000 to 10,000 cars per day in 1925, the Model T was priced at just $260, equivalent to 4,017s today. It was named the most influential car of the 20th century in the '99 Car of the Century competition. Ford's Model T success wasn't just about affordability. It symbolized innovation for the rising middle class and became a powerful representation of America's modernization. Ford also introduced an original idea, treating workers as potential consumers. In 1914, he raised wages to $5 a day, a generous wage at the time, enabling his employees to buy their own Model Ts. This move earned Ford the label of a traitor to his class from other industrialists, but he remained firm in his belief that well-paid workers would be loyal and contribute to the economy. Alongside higher wages, Ford reduced workers' hours, decreasing shifts by 1 hour and creating a third shift to allow for 24-hour operations. Fordism, a term coined to describe this combination of mass production and higher wages, spread to other industries. It inspired companies to offer higher wages and shorter hours, significantly altering the business landscape across the nation. While Ford's success led to widespread imitation, his dominance was challenged in the mid-1920s when he refused to update the Model T. More luxurious cars at prices similar to the Model T began to appeal to low-income buyers through an expanding used car market. In the UK, William R. Morris, later Lord Nuffield, began attempting to emulate Ford's methods in 1912. However, British manufacturers were initially hesitant to commit to large-scale production. Morris turned to the US for parts, and after World War I, he resumed producing low-cost cars, followed by Herbert Austin and André Gustave Citroën in France. In the post-war years, Los Angeles became a hotbed for a growing car culture, leading to a wave of innovations designed around the automobile. Southern California, in particular, became synonymous with drive-through restaurants, drive-in eateries, and drive-in theaters, perfectly embodying the spirit of convenience and modern living that came to define the era. One standout idea from this time was the Motormat drive-in, which reflected the shifting trends where the car was not just a mode of transport, but a symbol of lifestyle and freedom. Invented by Kenneth C. Purdy in 1948 and patented as the Motormat, this concept introduced a conveyor belt system that revolutionized drive-in dining by automating both the ordering and food delivery process. The Track restaurant in Southern California was one of the first to adopt this innovative system, featuring a circular layout with 20 parking stalls surrounding a central building. Instead of traditional car hops, a metal bin on a conveyor belt played the role of waiter, busboy, and server. In 1949, Purdy claimed the system reduced service time by 30 to 50%. The Motormat eliminated the need to wait for car hops, solved the issue of food getting dusty, and cut out the hassle of signaling for the check or waiting for change. The process was straightforward. Customers would pull up to a bin mounted on rails at window height, which contained a menu, water glasses, a pencil, and a pad for ordering. After filling out their order, they'd press a button, sending the bin back to the kitchen at the center of the circular building. When the food was ready, the bin returned with the bill, and once settled, the food and change were sent back down the rails. Launched in 1949, the Motormat service at the track was a hit, drawing customers from as far as Santa Monica with its unique system. Cars parked in a circular formation around the central building, and metal tracks connected the kitchen to the stalls. Small motorized compartments carried food and condiments along the tracks. The system resembled a Rube Goldberg contraption. Once parked, diners would roll down their windows and be greeted by a stainless steel bin positioned flush with their car door. Inside the bin were plastic cups, a water bottle, a menu, an order pad, and a change tray, large enough to carry food for up to 6 people. Customers would fill out their order and press a button, sending the bin back to the kitchen. Once the order was prepared, the bin would return to collect payment, and then the food, condiments, and change would be sent back down the track. According to Purdy, the Motormat system improved service by 20 to 25% thanks to its efficient design. Despite initial excitement, the track restaurant faced challenges in replacing traditional car hops with the automated system. Although the restaurant served 3,000 meals on opening day and almost 40,000 meals within the first 2 weeks, the Motormat concept didn't gain widespread traction. By 1950, the system expanded to 3 locations across Los Angeles, but by 1952, all had shut down. Maintenance issues, technical glitches, and shifting customer preferences contributed to the system's decline. While the Motormat offered a futuristic glimpse at automation in dining, it faced practical challenges that prevented it from becoming a long-lasting success.